In 2005, I've received my residency in Erenköy Hospital. I've become a psychiatrist. Then I was appointed to Rize for compulsory service, and now I'm working in Recep Tayyip Erdoğan University, and I'm working as an assistant professor in psychiatry department. With the new Turkish Penal Code enacted in 2005, the law actually penetrated into medical area with the recent regulations, and sleep disorder is one of them. While we evaluated the sleep disorders, their individual effects and their social effects, when we say individual effects, the individuals can get harm, and because of the social problems, there could be social problems, and then how can, in legal terms, how can we decrease the individual effect? How can we minimize the social and individual effects? When the child refers to you with the clinical symptoms, we give a diagnosis, and after the diagnosis, there is a treatment plan, and after the treatment, the individual has to comply to certain situations. So you enlighten that patient, saying that you have a sleep disorder. The treatment of sleep disorder is this and this. If you do this, there will be such and such results, and if you do this, this and this results will not happen. So you are creating a consciousness in the patient, and when you say this, but the important thing is how it is perceived by the other person, because in the informed consent there is the papers, whether that person is signed or not. Rather than what you say, what is taken, received by the person is important. So you need to, the person has to note down what they understand. You take it and you put it in your file. So what happens? I'll talk about. I will get into this. While we are evaluating this social problems, it is not enough. There should be some legal regulations as well. In sleep disorders, the quality of the nighttime sleepiness is a problem. There is a problem in waking up and sustaining the sleep. There are sleep arousals, and actually causes that the person wakes up tired, and it causes a loss of concentration. So there could be some traffic accidents, occupational accidents, and traffic accidents, and disability levels, and whether these people will be can serve in the military or not, whether they should be given a driving license.
Fiil ehliyeti var mı?
And whether they are major or not, when we look at the penal code, Turkish penal code and Turkish civil code, are they eligible to be punished or not? They're all evaluated. What is crime? There are many characteristics of the crime, and I will be defining the crime from legal perspective. In order to call something a crime, it should be stated in the law, and there should be a connection between the action and the result. And third one, that person should know that it's a crime, and he will say that, okay, I did it, and there will be there are these 4 criteria, and it should be that person's fault. And what is punishment? It's a sanction. And in order to be eligible to be punished, to have the criminal capacity, they should be knowledgeable, they should have the capacity of understanding. Let's say that this person has this sleep disorder. Let's say that it's an occupational accident, and how much is it dependent on the sleep problem? Is there any connection between the two? And if there is any, then the compensation can be asked. And when we look at criminal code 32nd, 34th and 57th, we are using 32nd article of Turkish criminal penal code. And in order to use the 32nd, the ability to ask, to desire, should be complete in order to make him to have a criminal capacity. And sleep disorder are uttered as the temporary reasons. Because of the temporary reasons, the conscious capacity disappears, and we evaluate them as the 34th article of the penal code. And in the study conducted by Mustafa and Fatih Bey, as they are repetitive problems, the sleep disorders, 32, first paragraph, and along with the 57th, it is for the protection of the person. But in our practice, we evaluate that under the article of 34th, because that's the situation because of distorted because of temporary conditions. And do these people have criminal capacity in the Turkish civil code? Are their signatures valid? Can they get married? Can they be authorized? We can look at them. A sleep disorder interrogation, or the legal interrogation. In order to make that, there should be an aggression behavior related to the sleep. And what is aggression behavior related to sleep? The behaviors during the sleep, what can they be? They might be physical, it might be oral or sexual, and they might end up death or disabilities. Non-REM parasomnias and sexomanias, and also REM sleep behavior disorders and nocturnal dissociative disorders and obstructive sleep apnea behaviors. When we say parasomnia, sleepwalking was first studied in 1974 by Alexander Boncola. In this judicial and clinical process, there should be a systemic practice and algorithm, and this was uttered in 1974, and we still don't have a standardized diagnostic or treatment approach in that regard. Aggression behavior related to the sleep is seen in 2% of the population. This is according to the result of a questionnaire, not a laboratory study. Sleep Disorders Center. We do have a sleep disorders center, and 36 non-REM patients. We did polysomnography, and we didn't see any aggression behavior related to sleep disorders. It's meaningful to see that, but if you don't see that, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, and they do have the story in their clinical story. In the parasomnia patients, the aggression behavior related to the sleep is generally homicide intervention, felicits or sexual behaviors. It might be yelling, touching, cursing, or some other behaviors. Therefore, the story has to be listened well, and they should be supported. When we look at the legal history of the parasomnias, in 16th century in Spain, it was stated that people, while they're asleep, they cannot be sinful. And in Deutschland, in the 17th century, if a person has bad feelings about that person, then, and if that person gives harm to that person while asleep, then this might not be related to the sleep related aggression behavior, and they should be punished. And in the UK, and according to the common legal practices, that person cannot be accepted as a criminal till it is proven the opposite. And in Turkey, whether he has the freedom of the action and the conscience, and it is 32(1) and 34 articles of the Turkish Penal Code. A person with a parasomnia, when they come to us with aggressive behavior, we are asking them, what happens? When is it aggressive behavior related to sleep? The event is not under the control of that person. It is involuntary, and they do have total or partial amnesia, and they do have confusional behaviors. And the behaviors that they show while they're asleep is very different when they don't, and the action has not been taught before that, and then those involuntary acts were already seen during sleep in the past. This was the parasomnia. When we talk about narcolepsy and low, it means that sleepy period during the day, emotional ups and downs, and there is the effect in the muscle tone, and the hypnogenic hallucinations might be seen. It's narcolepsy, you know that. There's a problem about the REM period of the sleep. Why is it related especially with REM? REM? Because REM, in the REM part, neurocognitively, you store the information. These people are insufficient psychologically. Therefore, in the studies, they say that patients with narcolepsy, they do have high risks, and their driving performances are not sufficient. So, while authorizing the driving license, if that person has narcolepsy, you should be very careful about that. Abroad, of course, not in Turkey. And when there is a disorder in the neurocognitive, there will be traffic accidents, some occupational accidents, might be seen more frequently. And it was stated that, when that person is oversleepy during the day, and number of naps, daytime naps, and cataplexy attack, and the changes in the muscles, and deterioration in the daily life quality. All of these criteria should be taken into consideration to create a standard, but no matter what was stated, there is no standard to define the private and the social performance. The patient came and you diagnosed that person with narcolepsy, oversleepy during the day, and you started a stimulant drug, and afterwards that person will say that, am I going to be using this medication all the time? And that person didn't use that day and the next day, then occupational any accident, and as a result of that accident there is a death. If I stated, as I stated at the beginning, if you document that this person had the narcolepsy and was drugged, the court can ask you whether this person has a voluntary crime, and you can say that, yes, it is voluntary because that person didn't use the drugs. So this is valid also for the parasomnia and the other sleep disorders as well. In OSAS, obstructive sleep apnea syndrome. This is also very commonly studied in the law. And neurocognitive disorders might happen because what's happening in sleep apnea, in the respiratory pathways, there are partial obstructions, repetitive hypoxia, and also the arousal reactions and neurocognitive function deteriorations. In the sleep apnea, complex aggressive behaviors and parasomnia are frequently observed. Therefore, their existence might increase the risk. Therefore, the level of the sleep apnea and the other patients, then the ability to blame that person will be less. For driving license, it's stated that that person came and then say that I'm snoring during the night, and when I wake up in the morning I feel quite tired, I have fatigue, I have some attention problems. When you see that in the new driving license practice, you need to have polysomnography. And if they would like to have a professional driving license, above 45 years old and more than body mass index more than 25, and when the index HI index is higher than 15, you can't get the driving license, and CPAP is being prescribed. CPAP. And as a result of CPAP treatment, apnea hypopnea index, when it is less than 15, now you can get your driving license and you will use it on a regular basis, and in a year of time we will have the polysomnography once again. And when we look at the handicapped rate, in order to be eligible to be handicapped, the handicap level should be 40% and more. For the sleep apnea patients, it's 35%, and for the military, less than 20. Mild sleep apnea and moderate sleep apnea, it is A group. It means that he's eligible for the compulsory military service. If it is higher than 20, can't do military service, and can't serve for the compulsory military service. And the accidents, can they be prevented? Is there any conscious action? And this is weighted for all of them. We need to be careful about them. Insomnia. Insomnia is not a disease, it's a symptom. Insomnia can occur in everything. It might be in the psychiatric diseases. They might appear in some medical situations. Therefore, how are we gonna approach insomnia? We are gonna approach in a way that we approach a symptom. In the insomnia patients, narcolepsy for example, it is in the hypersomnic group, but that continuity deterioration in the REM sleep, yes, 80% there, it is in the hypersomnia group, but narcolepsy patient comes to you with insomnia findings, 80% insomnia findings. There might be some other comorbidities like the sleep apnea or parasomnia, and persistent hyperarousals in the insomnia patients are frequently seen. Therefore, the REM stability is deteriorated, and when the REM stability is deteriorated, the information cannot be stored. Therefore, there are problems in the neurocognition. I said that In the insomnias, the handicap level is 10%, the respiratory problems 35%, in hypersomnias 35%, and parasomnias 10%, and RBD 35% handicapped rate. Military service. As the military hospitals were shut down, we started to have many soldiers, not only because of the insomnia or sleeping disorders. We frequently see the soldiers, and we are not experienced that much in this regard. In A group, they are eligible to serve. In B and D group, they are not eligible to serve military service. 18th article, A paragraph. The mild sleep disorders, but there is no criteria, by the way. Which is mild sleep disorder? There is no criteria. It means that the functionality is not being deteriorated substantially, so they serve for the compulsory military service. And in the D paragraph, the chronic sleep disorders, it might be narcolepsy or chronic insomnia, chronic hypersomnia, parasomnia, idiopathic SSS hypersomnia, and KLS. And you're getting the registrations and you evaluate them clinically and you're evaluating the functionality, and as a result, when you say that this cannot be treated, he or he cannot serve for the military. In the article 47 and paragraph D, in the sleep apnea patients, in the positive respiratory part, they can't serve. So the sleep experts, what falls on their shoulders? When they diagnose a sleep disorder, they should inform the patient about the disease and also treatment, and the patient should be enlightened about the preventive measures. Thank you very much.